On November 4th and 5th, a king tide was expected to hit the seacoast of New Hampshire. Although it may not have sandy beaches, Exeter is a seacoast community, connected to the ocean by the tidal Swasey River. According to the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, a king tide is a non-scientific term people often use to describe exceptionally high tides. Tides are long-period waves that roll around the planet as the ocean is pulled back and forth by the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun as these bodies interact with the Earth in their monthly and yearly orbits. With the full moon in the sky, the tide was expected to be over 2 feet higher than normal. We mobilized, setting up several time-lapse cameras across Swasey Parkway to capture the moment the tide pushes water over the banks. At around 6 a.m., the tides began to rise. Just over 6 hours later, the moment was finally about to arrive, the moment of impact. Wait, the water's going back down already? It turns out the tides weren't as high as we expected them to be, and thankfully this time Swasey Parkway was spared. But this hasn't always been the case. In January of 2024, snowmelt and a king tide combined to inundate Exeter's riverfront with water, flooding behind Water Street and much of Swasey Parkway. To better understand this problem, we spoke to Conservation and Sustainability Planner Kristen Murphy.
The Swasey River is a tidal river. It flows out to the ocean through Great Bay and the Piscataqua River. So that means twice a day, every day, the water levels on the Swasey River rise with the tides. And today we're here because the tides are about 2.5 feet higher than average tide. So today is a higher than average tide. It's a good time to come out here and sort of visualize what this area will look like under elevated sea level conditions. So we know that sea levels are rising, and we need to look at how our riverside infrastructure is going to perform and be impacted by that. So right now we have a grant through the state, a coastal resilience grant, to look at Swasey Parkway and evaluate what areas will be impacted and when by sea level rise, and what we can do, if anything, to sort of mitigate those impacts or modify the design of the parkway to accommodate that sea level rise and that tidal flooding.
As a part of this grant project, the town will be hosting a public listening session on December 1st from 6 to 8 p.m., giving residents a chance to talk through this issue and share their thoughts on potential solutions and approaches to dealing with sea level rise.
We want to be sure whatever we do on the parkway is informed by the community, because it's a heavily used property. The community, really centers a lot of its function around this park. And so we have a public input session on December 1st to get the community's thoughts for what we could do for Swasey Parkway. So we'll provide some information about future flooding conditions and seek input on what solutions the community would support.
If you want to learn more about coastal resiliency seacoast-wide, the New Hampshire Coastal Adaptation Work Group hosts an annual photo contest highlighting king tides. The Picturing Rising Tides competition aims to raise awareness about the changes and impacts to many places we value. The photos of the competition showing extra high tides give us a glimpse of what daily water levels could be like in the future. For more information on the public listening session and other conservation and sustainability news, check out the Exeter Town website, exeternh.gov.